Hello, everyone. Welcome to Here on Earth. My name is Marley Daintree. I am your host. I am joined today by Kai Wallis. John is a relationship mentor, a somatic guide, and founder of Aligned Attraction, True Love. With over 7,000 hours mentoring high performers, founders, and therapists, John helps people rewire their living signal to stop repeating painful patterns and create love that feels like a home they never knew. His work blends raw truth, somatic intelligence, and radical clarity to help clients rewrite their internal love map and finally stop abandoning themselves in intimacy. Hello, John. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, my pleasure. What a mouthful. I didn't realize how long that bio was. Could have got a drink and come back by the time you finished that.
I'd love you to tell me more about how you started doing this.
Yeah, great question. Well, I found it after various non-discoveries of what I didn't want to do in my life. For example, I worked in the film industry for 17 years, and before that, I worked in a mega church. And then before that, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I just followed in my father's footsteps of you just got to go get a job and go do this, go make yourself useful, make yourself get some utility into your life, which led me to various relationships and being abundantly wealthy financially, and then spending that money on things to avoid the reality of my life. And in one of those relationships, I found a woman who questioned my entire reality, including what I was doing. Why was I working in the film industry? Did I even enjoy it? Did I even like it? Like, what was I even doing there? Which put me on the journey of, well, why am I doing this? What's the point of all this? What am I really here for? And on that journey, I met my mentor through traveling with her. She had a book, and I was traveling with her to sell her book. I thought maybe I can discover my purpose. I piggyback off her purpose and see if I can find my purpose. Met my mentor, and he showed me a way of existing that I had no idea that was available to me. And originally, I was going to go into politics and run a local politician. And I discovered that was not for me because I had all these spiritual gifts that I wouldn't be able to use if I got into politics. So I started practicing what he mentored me through, like family constellations and the core energetics, the rage releasing, the deeper connecting with the body. And he was taught by John Parakos, who, with Alexander Lowen, created core energetics. And Alexander Lowen learnt from Wilhelm Reich. Well, actually, they kind of crossed paths at the same point, and they discovered the similar things that they're in their clinical practice. They could see people walking through the door with the same physical structure in their body and the same relationship issues or psychological issues, and that's what they created, character structure. And that was so fascinating to me, character analysis. That was so fascinating to me. But this is it. This is I love this. And then when I started practicing, I could see the patterns. I could see the benefits that I was creating in people's lives. And then I found my purpose through that, just allowing people to be more themselves. And for me, that's the highlight for me. So I got into that purely by accident, you could say, but I really feel it was divinely guided by all the relationship woes, the people I met, the money that I needed to spend, things that I needed to give up, has led me to this place, which I thoroughly love because I get to meet people like yourself and others, most likely listening, that are on this self development journey, this self nurturing journey, coming back to themselves to be in harmony with
Mm,
whatever they're here to be in harmony with.
mm. Thank you. I've done a couple of episodes on family constellations, so me and my audience know a little bit about that. But could you tell me more about core energetics and what it is?
Absolutely. So, core energetics is I'll explain the benefits of core energetics. So, the benefits of core energetics is it gives you a structure of how your body is storing the memories of who you've pretended to be your entire life. So, a core energetics specialist will look at your body and put you into some categories based on what your body looks like and how you move, how you breathe, your posture, etc. From that, they will poke you to elicit a response to see, well, where's your survival pattern? Where's your defense? When that defense presents itself, there are somatic exercises that can be done where you expose that defense and no longer make it a defense. It no longer becomes a survival pattern. It becomes part of your presence, becomes part of who you are. So core energetics involves specific body movements that unlock the banding of armoring, bump my microphone, banding of armoring where the rigidity and armoring is held in your body that stops your most authentic self from flowing through. Uh, the bandings are very specific. There's an eye band, chest band, a pelvic band, leg band. All of these bands, they're like diaphragmatic. So if you don't deal with them in a particular sequence, then you try and force a particular area. And that's why some of the somatic exercises that are more mainstream have a limited effect, because you're not doing the exercises in the correct sequence to actually unify the body. So a core energetic specialist is just shown how to do that. And in that, not all core energetics therapists are the same. So back in the days of John Parakos and Alexander Lowen, there was a skill to agitate the client. Like, you basically, you need to piss them off. Right? You need to get
Mm.
the anger flowing, because it's the anger and the aggression that helps the body to become one, to become whole. So if a therapist that knows how to do this just knows how to push the correct buttons to get that anger out, to get that authentic self coming through you. So not all therapists, core energetics therapists, are the same. So whenever I'm recommending someone to go work with a core energetics therapist, is listen to your body. Like, your body will say, yeah, cool, that's the guy. Because I do know that people can get themselves attached to the modality, but then completely miss the forest for the trees, that the person that's giving the modality isn't actually aligned for them, if that makes sense. So does that help you at all? Does that give you a bit of an understanding into core energetics?
Yeah, so I think I first heard about you on the Here for the Truth podcast, and I remember you talking about like the five personality patterns. And after that, I read the Stephen Kessler Five Personality Patterns book. So is that similar, or that's like a spin-off of
It's a
the original?
simplified, palatable version of core energetics. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So if when you're in a core energetics room, it's intense. Okay. And for
Mm-hmm.
most people, it's not something that you'd step through. It's not something that most people want to go through. The people want to learn, just do tapping, nice and gentle, a bit of the EFT or Sight K, or move your eyes around, or a bit of emotional regulation, or something else. It's very tame, very tame. A deep dive core energetics is, you would have heard it in the Here for the Truth podcast, much more aggressive. Like, it's much more the monster. There's a monster of you that wants to come out. You can't tap a monster away. Okay, you can't
Mm.
do all that, right? You need to really be in it and embody it. So yeah, it's similar and different. It's a level one, like it's a kindergarten version of going much deeper, but it's a great start for a lot of people. Like for me, when I signed up with my mentor, I had no idea what I was getting myself in for until we actually started processing. I'm like, whoa, this is edge of who I am and what I'm here to bring.
Mm. Mm. I think I remember in that interview you talking about being blindfolded and then a woman, sorry if I've got the details wrong or right, but and then a woman laughed and that brought out anger. Is
That was
that
something else. That was my experience with the humiliatrix,
okay?
which the core energetics work really helped me prepare for. I didn't know it was preparing me for that, but it really helped me prepare for it. But that was a temple night, a local temple night pre-COVID, where people could get together and do all that kind of stuff. But that, did you want me to talk more about that, or that was it?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no, I liked the story if you'd.
Yeah, sure.
It's
So
interesting.
so after I had done my mentorship, or was I halfway through? I can't remember. I went to ISTA. Are you familiar with ISTA, International School of Temple Arts? Okay, so ISTA is a tantric school where they do similar practices to core energetics, but they're not as structured. But it's about shadow hunting and expressing your sexual self and really being comfortable in your body naked around other people. Another great school to go to if your heart feels called to go to it. They do like weekend retreats and other things, but you need to choose the venue that's correct for you. So they do them all over the world. You just got to look at their website and see, well, which one's correct for me. I went to Tasmania. That was correct for me. I didn't want to do Northern Rivers in Sydney in Australia, Sydney in Northern Rivers. Back to the humiliatrix. After I did that, I was invited to a temple night. And in the tantric space, the temple night is where you can go to a venue and push your edge sexually. And you're shown how to, you're shown a much deeper layer of consent. You're shown how to ask for touch and receive touch. But it's in an environment where it's like a sand pit. Like you just get to play, understand what's the edges of my body. What can I say yes to? What can I say no to? What did I say yes to that I really should have said no to, but I said yes to because I don't know what my yes and my no's really feel like. Anyway, towards the end of the night, this humiliatrix brought out her wooden chair, and straight away my whole body lit up, and I've got to be in that chair. I've got to see what this experience is all about. So when the temple night opened, the field opened, I said, hey, I need to get in that chair. Like I volunteer for tribute to be in that chair. So she said, yeah, great, cool. Pick some toys out that you want me to use on you. So I think I picked a rope and some other odds and ends. She handcuffed and blindfolded me to this chair, and then she proceeded to whip me. I was a whip. That's right, I was a whip. Proceeded to whip me on my leg and then escalate it, escalate the pain, escalate escalate the pain. And then at one point, she was saying something to me, and I went to bite her, like, and she was like, "Don't you bite me!" And she put her whole fist in my mouth, and I was like, "Whoa, this is hectic," you know. And then she walked a few feet away from me. I could feel some other people were starting to gather around me. I think one, I definitely remember two. I was blindfolded. Definitely remember two female voices in the distance. One of them being the humiliatrix, and they both started whispering to each other, and then they both started laughing, and that made me rage. Because for me, I didn't know that that was in me, or maybe I did know at some level, but me being humiliated by a woman was something that was a real rage spot for me. So when she started laughing, I could hear them laughing in the distance. I feel like I wanted to break the chair and just go like take her out. And after I went through this rage and felt it and was with it, because I captured it, I could say, oh, this is that rage. This is that monster in me that could take anybody out that humiliates me, particularly women. After I breathed through that and felt through all that, I just burst out laughing because I knew what had just happened. Like I could feel that part of me that pushed that monster end where you lose consciousness. You lose that part of you that's supposed to be a nice guy, it's supposed to be all together up front. And when I caught it, I just knew that this is that thing, this is that transmutative, transformational thing that can happen in the BDSM space, in that kink space. So that's what I did. I tell people to go do that kind of thing if they want to push that edge. They don't have to do it. They're not going to miss out if they don't do it, or maybe they will. But it really boils down to, what do you want in your life, and can you listen to your body to take you there?
Sort of that story, not that story in particular, but lots of things where I hear them on podcasts and stuff, it makes me wonder, like, how do you do experiences like this if you're like married with small children and there's no like retreat time or like how do you bring, I don't know, even core energetics or any all of this, like, do you think you need to go away and work with a practitioner, or do you think that there are things that you can do in sort of everyday life that's discovering who you are? And
There is. There is. So you don't have to do that, do it my way, or do it the way I did it. There's another practitioner who's bioenergetics, and his name is Devaraj Sandberg, and he's got a really good online school to do this work. He understands the mechanisms behind it. You can do it at home by yourself. You don't have to be in group. You don't have to do what I did. In the five personality patterns, there are exercises that you can do specifically around the BDSM and kink space. There's people that will come to your house. I mean, if you have kids and maybe you do not want them around, because you really want to be able to express yourself fully. Right? This is about being able to be unleashed, um, which is like the Easter space is really good to be that unleashed. Well, maybe not in the Northern Rivers one because there's just too many people, but other ones in the area that could be more useful. But yeah, there are ways. There are ways, and I think for people who are time poor, who have a lot of responsibility, it can feel like a real handicap that, oh, I want to have these better relationships. I want to have this better life. But it seems like the work that I need to do is just out of my reach. Is that what you're kind of saying?
Mm. I feel like there's lots of things where I think like, oh, I wish I knew this before I had kids, or I wish I did this, but when I had time. But then also thinking like, that can't be it. There must be things that you do. But how did you get to working with? So you work with singles now, like finding love. Is that? Yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah. How did I get to that? Well, when I started my business, so it's easy to get a qualification, right? It's easy to think you can start a business, but what I didn't know was the back end of the business, like the marketing, the sales, all that kind of stuff, right? How to package what I know into something that people can use. So when I first started doing this, I was doing men's work, and I was in a business partnership, and the other guy, did all the marketing, all the sales, and I was just the back end, like sorting stuff out, like websites and admin. When that business failed, I needed to do it on my own, and I needed help to do it on my own. So I hired a business mentor with the last of my $1,500, and he helped me create a package around what I really enjoy to do and the people that I really like to work with. And in the beginning, I was working with anybody, and I can't remember what my initial marketing was. I think it was if you like what you see in my work, then reach out to me because I've got some new offerings going. And then what happened over the years, I've refined that to just work with singles because what I found is with couples who haven't worked with me before or haven't worked with me in a one-on-one basis, is it's usually one person in the relationship that doesn't want to work with me. It's usually the man, where the woman's on board, she can hear I have exactly the solution that's going to fix the relationship, but the guy just doesn't want to feel. He doesn't want to go into his feelings. He doesn't want to take ownership or fall on his sword that he doesn't know how to have a relationship. He doesn't actually know how to do this. All of his business acumen, all of his success, it doesn't translate into a relationship. So then I cut that back to, well, let's just work with singles. All right, let's work with recovering singles. Let's work with people who have struggled in relationship. They've done a little bit of inner work. Maybe they've done some plant medicine. Maybe they've done some shadow work, some family systems work, landmark maybe. Maybe they've done ISTA. Maybe they've flown to Peru. They still can't seem to crack that nut on their relationship game. Like, why do I keep attracting the same person? Let's work with those people because they have a background in self-responsibility. Like they know that, especially if they've done shadow work or family systems work or IFS work, then they understand, oh, it's me. Like it's all me. Great, cool. Now I've got something to work with. John, I have something to work with. If they're new to therapy or they're new to the space, it's too overwhelming for them to start looking at the mirror. But singles, I just really enjoy working with singles. I find that their relationship experience and hearing them say to me, "Wow, John," I when I ask them, "Well, now that you've finished working with me, like, what did you get out of it?" It's like, well, like I wish I knew what I knew now back then because I would never have gotten into all those relationships, right? And then in my process of working with me, they go through a validation phase of just dealing with all the grief, like all the burdens of responsibility that they've taken on now, all this other stuff, this backlog of, oh my God, like this has been so hard for me. I've been carrying this all alone. But in that, when someone's worked with me for 16 weeks or work with me in some capacity, I open up the 12 months working with me. So the 12-month cycle's more for someone who wants to do a complete life realignment. And like I just got off a call with a client. A lot of my clients in the 12-month phase go through this real identity death, a very deep identity death, where I can ferry them across their old life, ferry them across all their belief systems, ferry them across how they've been holding secrets in their body or armoring in their body of who they needed to pretend to be to survive. But at some point, like the client will go through they need to step off the raft, they need to step off the boat and actually step onto this new shore, this new environment, this new identity, this new way of being. And they don't know who that is. So it's a very scary place of people who are going through an identity death and looking at their survival patterns and coming out the other side of, well, who am I really? Like if I stop surviving, if I stop living my life by how I needed to pretend to be to get a job, get a relationship, yada yada yada, be the good father, be the good mother, if I stop pretending, who am I really? How will people show up to me? Who's my support network? If who's going to love me now? So all of my particular offerings are tailored to a particular type of person. Um, and my newest one's about, well, people who have got out of a breakup and they don't know how to deal with it. Like that phase of after a breakup is so important because you can reflect deeply on, well, what happened? Like, how did I choose this person? How have I ended up here again? And it not just brings closure, but I help untangle that psychic glue of, well, like I still love this person, or maybe I don't love this person. Maybe I have all this hatred and I don't know how to use it, or maybe they've just moved on straight away, and I'm still here holding all these fragmented pieces of like, do they even love me? Like, what even was this? So I've just worked by putting my offerings out there and doing the thing and getting the feedback from the market. So, well, this is what seems to be working right now. Some people aren't ready for a relationship. They're actually out of one and they just want to work out, well, what actually happened, the debrief. Some people are ready for a relationship, so I can help them get that. And then some people are like, I don't want a relationship, but my life, like, there's just something that's off. Like I've had my own businesses. I've been a corporate high flyer. Like I know how to wear that fake smile in the office, but I just can't seem to get my life to work. But that's how I've chosen my market base, is just by through the feedback of, what are you struggling with? Like, what's your problem? And then just creating based on that. Was that helpful?
Yeah. So so if people have, like, I've seen you post about a love map. So if they have like a faulty love map that keeps repeating the same patterns, and if we have these sort of defense mechanisms, how does that correlate? Like, what sort of person attracts kind of what, and how did that work out for you? Like, what patterns were you seeing in your life that then changed and you were
Ah,
able to be with your now wife and in a happy relationship?
great question. Great question. So the pattern that I discovered and the patterns that I discovered was that I would self abandon really quickly, really quickly. And my love map, that's part of the first two, which is the island of red flags, where like I could see all the red flags of the other person, but I'd be like, I'm just gonna let my feelings override this. This could turn out differently, right? And the other part of that was the swamp of self abandonment. Like you start walking, it's like, oh, this is actually okay. But then the more you start walking into the relationship, the more you keep abandoning. But then you're so deep in, it's like, well, I've forgotten who I am anymore. But I'm just going to stay here because it's comfortable. Like the swamp is comfortable. Like I know the swamp. Like I know what the swamp, all the landmarks are in the swamp. But what was really important here was having the presence and awareness to not only forgive myself, but know how to move through the pattern. So those first two out of the five, so that's a leaving pattern and merging pattern. So the leaving pattern disassociates. Like they can intellectually, I know all the things that I don't want in a relationship. I know all the things I do want in a relationship. But then when you get into a relationship, it's no longer intellectual. Your whole body comes online, like your arousal's there. Your body wants to be in it. So the mind can't override anymore what the body's doing. So in that, the techniques for that is just to become more grounded in your body. Stop over meditating, stop overthinking things. And then the swamp of self abandonment, the merging pattern really needs to connect to our core self. Like, who am I? If I'm, if I have this identity of always needing to be needed, if I have this identity of needing to be a provider, well, who am I when I put those identities away? Who am I really? If I'm not, if I'm not other sourcing in the five personality patterns, Stephen talks about other sourcing, like you source the other, you source yourself in the other through the merging pattern. I was like, what do you want? What does my partner want? And I'll just fill that need. Now I'm in a relationship. This feels like home. Because if you're used to self abandoning, being in a relationship where you self abandon will feel like home. So for me, knowing when to end a relationship, even when it's good, even from the outside, it's good. Like the relationship I had just before Cass, it was a reasonably good relationship. Like it was okay, but I could just tell that, well, I need to end this, and this needs to end. It's actually not in alignment with where I want to go. So not in alignment with who I want to be. And that was one of the harder relationships to end because it was good. Like it was actually okay. But then with my relationship with Cass, I just was ready to swear off relationships. I'm like, that's it. I'm done for now. I don't need anybody else for now. And then it was Cassie that initiated with me. Like I could see it. We lived together. We were housemates. When we first lived together, there was no interest between the two of us. But then as we got to know each other a little bit more, and I was like, there's something in her. Like I knew that there was something that's in there, but I didn't want to. There was no part of me was like, I need to go and I need to be the man in this relationship. I need to be the man and reach out and ask her on some dates, and that's what a sort of masculine man would do. I was like, no, I'm not doing any of that. I'm just going to relax. I'm going to be myself. Just be the receptive one. Allow her to come to me, and she did. So she came to me, and then we just built the relationship up from that. She said, John, I don't know what's going on in my body, but I can feel like I just want to be around you. I said, great, let's explore that. Let's see where that goes. Let's find the edge in that. And then from that relaxed nature, from just being present, the relationship formed. And then we put some structure around it to say, well, this is what we want, this is what we don't want. And we're still together. And it's like we love it. So we're two children deep, and it's not even deep, it's fun. Like Tommy, my newest one's out with Cass. My older one's out with his grandparents. Like it's great. Does that help answer your question at all?
Yeah. I'd be interested if you could go through the other personality patterns and what sort of relationship patterns they invite.
Yeah, sure, sure, sure. So the other ones, so you've got enduring, you have aggressive, and you have rigid. And I've got them, I call them different things in love mapping, but to keep it simple, just to keep it in contextual with the five personality patterns from Stephen Kessler and the book, if you're listening to this and you've read the book or you know of the book or are about to get the book. So the endurer will hold in all their feelings, just hold them all in, where they're not allowed to be really angry and they're not allowed to be really happy. So they get stuck in this halfway place of, well, I'm just not allowed to be myself. And what they tend to attract, the endurer tends to attract someone who agitates them. Like they actually want to get all of their anger out. They want to get their feelings out. And the endurer is the most resistant to talk therapy because they need to move. They need dynamism. They need some thing in their body to shake it up because they're so used to staying still and being like anchored in to their position. Like they're the stubborn ones in the relationship that they won't budge. The endurer survival pattern wins out of all of them in the long run because they will happily suffer and endure through a relationship till the end. Right? They can also be the most passive aggressive, so they tend to attract someone who's aggressive aggressive. And two endurers could build a relationship together, but it wouldn't be really healthy one because it's just continuous passive aggression. But it might, from the outside, it might look like they're really compatible. The inside, it's just full of unspoken hatred and unspoken bitterness. The aggressive pattern person is hypervigilant for betrayal. So they might unconsciously start going through your text messages on your phone. They might look for some reason to break up out of some betrayal or something else. Like, oh, you looked at somebody else. You They are also unlikely to go to therapy because they need to be vulnerable. They need to be not so much vulnerable, but they need to be honest with themselves. They need to show their soft belly. They need to be, hey, I actually need your help. I actually need to understand what's going on in my body. I'm so armored that I don't know how to be myself in a relationship. I don't know how to expose what my wants and my needs are. And then the rigid survival pattern is the most likely to find someone who's perfect on the outside, but also can't really connect to who they are on the inside. So the rigid survival pattern can appear altogether. They tend to be uh, a little bit more avoidant. The leaving pattern's the most avoidant, but the rigid can be a little bit disorganized as well because they want a relationship. They can start off the relationship really well, but then once more intimacy is required, once more honesty is required, they're not entirely sure, well, who are they and who is the mask that they've created that the person was originally attracted to. So the rigid can be very well put together on the surface, but then when you crack that nut and go a little bit deeper inside of them, they don't really have an authentic an authentic and truthful connection to their true selves, because they've just learned how to pretend to be anything for anyone just to be not rejected. They avoid rejection, so they'll do anything to avoid rejection. That's the main five. There's actually nine, and to simplify it, we just keep it at five. So the nine's more for a practitioner level, and we just keep it at that. We just keep it at the five.
Mm, that's interesting. I know that when I read the book, it was like every chapter I was like, "Oh, this one's me," and then I'd get to the next chapter and I'd be like, "Oh, this one's me," and then like, so do you think? So I guess that is like everyone's got a little bit of all of them in it, but it's like what you do under pressure
Yeah,
that is your pattern.
you nailed it. You nailed it in one. So we have all five. You're born with all five. You will use all five at some level, where it's tantruming or disassociating or merging. Not so much rigid. Usually the first three, sometimes first four. But then as you age, you perfect two. You perfect two. So in my love mapping, I take you through two. They're the most dominant ones. They're the ones that can really interrupt your partner selection. And then all five will eventually show up, which is when I'm doing the longer work with someone, the 12-month work with someone, all five show up because you're bringing all the survival, well, actually all nine do, but all the survival patterns show up, and we need to deal with one with the correct toolkit that helps stop them becoming this overwhelm response. And you can catch them in the presence and just breathe through it and know that, oh, I'm surviving right now. Like, I'm pretending to be something else right now. I'm trying to dominate someone else right now. I'm enmeshing myself with someone right now. Or it can translate into the workforce too, where like you go to speak up in a meeting and then you hold back because, oh, this isn't the right time. So I teach people how to create the time for you to break the rules in your professional space. So it's not so, oh, I'm not allowed to do that. So no, you're allowed to do anything. You just need to create the permission for yourself. And when you learn the vocabulary around it and the presence around it, it's not just words. It's a felt sense that comes through your whole body. You can create whatever you want to do, if if it's part of your true self.
Um, I totally forgot what I was going to say. Um, I was Oh, that's right. Yeah, I saw one of your posts and it was saying about like I can't remember in that if you go and like see a therapist, you might like you'll just cover all your real issues with sort of pseudo lesser issues. And I remember as a teenager and a young person, I saw a psychiatrist or whatever. And I remember really feeling like that. I remember feeling like I would trick them within the first, like, every meeting. I'd sort of just, I don't know, do a different thing. And I'd be like, they're never going to realize, like, I'm never going to be able to tell them anything real because as soon as I start talking to them, I start convincing them what I want them to know. And how do you, but I guess, so is that where you need someone like a coroner, someone that can provoke you to see the real?
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is. So a psychiatrist, I mentioned this in the podcast I did the other day as well, where if you can't read the body, then all you're relying on is the person's words. And a person, especially an adult, has learnt to use their words to avoid facing not just the denial of who they've become, but the grief. So you step into a psychiatrist or a psychologist's office, it can feel cold straight away for me, cold, it's rigid, and you just know exactly how to talk your way around whatever the issue is, because they're not monitoring your breath,
Mm,
they're not monitoring your posture, they're not monitoring the words that you're using, they're not monitoring the part of you that stopped breathing or is like glazed over and looking off into the distance, and when you've just said something or they've said something and they've gone into some dissociative state or that they've left their body, right?
mm,
They don't know how to ask you, what's going on in your body right now? What are you feeling? Like, are your hands cold? Like I noticed as soon as you said that, you actually crossed your legs and you did this, or you tilted your pelvis a bit. Or are you sore anywhere in your body right now? Do you grind your teeth at night? Right? Do you have a tight jaw? So those kind of things are not in the realms of psychiatry and psychology because they just assume that it's just the brain. It's just the brain. That's a complete. Well, it's a lie. It's not just the brain. It's the entire body. So
mm,
the brain, that reductionistic view, makes for people that can go to therapy for decades and still come out the other side without a cure. Like if you ask a psychiatrist how many people have you cured, they'd say zero because there is no cure in psychiatry. It's purely treatment.
mm. Yeah, and I remember the reason that I started seeing someone was because I had like I started having panic attacks at school. And but yeah, I remember that every person that I would see, I was like, this is nothing to do with what's happening, and I don't even know what's happening, and I don't know how they will ever know what's happening.
Yeah.
I've
How,
also
how are you with panic attacks now?
um fine. I haven't had one in years. Actually, when I got pregnant, so my eldest child is 6, and when I got pregnant with my son, I was a bit nervous because I'd sort of always had like a bit of hypochondria around like sort of feeling like I can't breathe or like there's something happening in my body. So I thought that pregnancy was going to be really frightening, but it was actually the opposite. It was like I've never had a panic attack since. So part of that, I almost feel like it's like I'm not alone anymore. Like I think that panic attacks used to happen in the middle of the night when I was alone, or like, yeah, in moments where I felt alone. And now I feel like I've always got my children around me. So if I start to feel a bit anxious or something, I've just got to look after my children. Maybe that's a bit of a merging pattern too.
A little bit, a little bit. Like what I hear in that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure, go for it.
Yeah. So panic attacks and that level of like anxiety is usually there's something breath is missing usually in anxiety. So leaving pattern doesn't know how to go deep into their body. So what I'm hearing is you've got two survival patterns. One, the leaving pattern kicks in, can't sort out the issue, so the merging comes in. Goes cool, great. That's my backup. Cool. Now I feel safe. Now I feel secure. But what you might find is if your kids go on holidays or if they're away from home, go on an adventure somewhere, go on an excursion, that you might start to feel. You might even start to feel it right now in your body. Take a deep breath. That 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 sensation will return. Right. That sensation, and it can be dealt with. Like it's that leaving pattern injury is installed very early. Can be in the womb If your mum was scared, usually there can be a violent father in the scene where it's like mum doesn't feel safe to birth the child. It can be in the medical profession too, emergency C-sections, all that kind of stuff. But the leaving is just part of the survival, right? So to bring the leaving pattern person to make them feel welcome here on Earth, that their wants and needs are welcome, that whatever the somatic symptoms that they're feeling in their body is also welcome. This is part of their body doing their body thing,
Mm.
helps them feel part of everything else. And when that repatterning starts to take place, other people start coming out of the woodwork, out of community, to wanting to connect with you. Say, hey, I haven't noticed you before because you're more embodied. You're actually more on Earth. You're not split between the veil, the behind the veil and the Earth. It's like, no, I'm actually more on Earth. Great. Here's some more people to remind you that you're so loved and welcomed here. That everything that you are, we want to experience you. We want to experience your voice, how you sing, how you dance, how you show up, right? But a leaving patterned person, when they're in leaving, can feel so unwelcome because then their breath goes, because well, breath is earthly. So I was like, oh, I can't choose between being here and being somewhere else. But when you choose to be here, because I hear your kids are anchoring you here, when your kids anchor you here, it's like, oh, I can breathe again. Ah, I'm with you.
Mm.
Does that
Mm.
resonate for you or no?
Yeah, it does definitely. And yeah, my mum had an emergency C-section and all kinds of stuff go on. And I remember I did a breathwork session once where I had sort of like a memory of my birth, and I've had this like, and it was like it felt like it was the first deep breath I've ever had in my life. And
Beautiful.
I actually smoked heaps of weed up until that point because I felt like when I smoked weed, I would breathe. And then if I wasn't smoking, I didn't know how to breathe. And I remember I had this breathwork session and I was like, oh, I don't need to smoke anymore. Like I know how to breathe now. And I also felt like I could actually do breath work and different practices after that because before that, it just felt too scary. It felt like I would try, if I put any attention on my body, I would forget how to breathe. And then I'd need to start sort of thinking or like imagining or going into fantasy so that I couldn't feel that I couldn't breathe. But yeah.
I love that's great. I love that song. That breath work in particular was fantastic. It really brought you into your body. Really brought you here.
Mm.
That sounds that's fan. I love it when breath work can do things like that. Usually for the leaving pattern person, depending on the breath work, it can actually exacerbate the symptoms. So whoever
Mm,
guided you into that place, perfect.
that's what I'd always felt before. Like I'd always been really uncomfortable with breath work and stuff. But that was with do you know the Reconnected? They do like parenting breath work.
No,
Anyway,
no, that's great.
but yeah. Yeah, no, they're great. I've also really liked your posts recently about like neurodiverse and like the idea of all these different disorders that are just trauma. And I also, like, full disclosure, I remember I went through um, I decided that I had autism and I was like, oh yeah, I'm autistic. And that's it. And I remember that I was like, oh, this is so validating. This explains so much. And I remember that I actually like went and told someone and they were like, well, you could be, or maybe you had a lot of like stuff go on. It's hard to tell the difference. And how are you going to live your life? And I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. Like, I still have to live my life. It really doesn't matter. Like, I still have to figure it out, whether, whatever. And then coming to understand German new medicine and everything as just like conflicts and constellations. And then I'm like, oh, we're all neurodiverse then. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes it much easier when you say, "Yeah, cool. We're all neurodiverse. We all have our own
Yeah.
unique signature, whatever it is." And I think people seek out those labels just to feel safe. Like
Mm.
or like all labels, whether it's introverted or extroverted or Myers Briggs like INFJ or in human design, I'm a projector, I'm a this, I'm a that, or astrology, I'm a Cancer moon or Sagittarius rising. Like all these names help us feel a little bit more, give us a little bit more permission to be ourselves. But then once you go through that eye of the needle that the labels are irrelevant and you are who you are, then that stuff doesn't really impact you anymore. There's no need for a label. And so yeah, I might have a symptom picture that can overlay with bipolar 2, with ADHD, with ADD, with OSD, with PTSD, CPTSD. It doesn't mean that I am any of those things, but I am me. And sometimes you might need to go through that mainstream medicine portal to be able to see, hey, wait a minute, I, this isn't, this isn't me. This label's actually keeping me stuck
Mm.
in this place. I've become this label, and now I'm identifying with other people with the label, and I can't seem to escape the gravity. But my body just feels wrong. This feels incorrect. But in that, the leaving pattern can reinforce that, where people who, and ADHD is a common symptom of ADHD or autism and schizophrenia, uh, for the leaving pattern person, because at some level they feel like they're accepted within that group, that, oh,
Mm.
we all have this label, therefore we have a connection. And it's very human. It's very human, and you do need to live life.
Mm. Mm. And I know I've sort of had, I don't know, different people in my life tell me like I've got this or that, I've got that, and I always feel like, yeah, I've got all of it. Like everything, every book that I read or every like disorder, I'm like, yeah, of course. Like I've had that. Like, and what next? Like, and I think I do, like I've been there myself and I see it in other people that I know. This sort of like, oh, well, I'm not going to get better at anything because that's just the way I am. Or like, I'm not going to try because that's me and everyone else has got to adjust to my special condition.
Yeah, correct, totally. And in that, it can start beating yourself up. It actually becomes like a bit of a yoke or an anchor that weighs you down. So you end up walking into a situation with this defense of the label. For example, you can't do a thing. Oh, that's my ADHD. Is it? Is it really? Or is it something else? Do you just don't want to be here? You actually don't even want to be here. So why are you even here? Like, go do something else. Like, if this isn't for you, then don't do it. But, oh, I have to be here, and my ADHD doesn't want me to be here. Well, which one is it? So it's in the self abandonment that these labels become very attractive. But once when you come into your core self, and when you can own who you are at the core, labels are just irrelevant. They're actually boring, which is why I make posts about them, because like, this is boring to me. This is not this is not humanity. This is something that we try and impose on people to give somebody else a purpose. Like, oh, we've got a treatment plan for ADHD, we've got a treatment plan for this. But no. And then in that, there are immutable biological characteristics of people who do have autism, right? You can see it quite clearly. Okay, I can see that yes, that's a very autistic response. And I don't know if you're familiar with homeopathy, but I've been was finished listening to an audiobook on homeopathy because we were curious about it. And I reversing the symptom picture of autism. I'm like, well, wait a
Mm.
minute. Like that, then what are we actually doing? Like, if you can give this person a remedy protocol, as kid, a remedy protocol, and it reverses all their autism symptoms, then what are we actually treating with people who have autism? So it blew the lid off another layer for me. But homeopathy is not my speciality. But it certainly was
Yeah.
something for me to go into and go, oh my wow, this is because that resonance that homeopathy brings, like the medicine, that quote unquote medicine that's in that, I love the concept of it. Like, I love that this is the frequency medicine that helps push the body through the symptom picture to come out the other side, to finish whatever the cycle the body's got stuck in. The same thing with German new medicine, right? It's like, oh, how do we resolve the conflict? So, that thing, cool. The symptom picture, the symptoms is just part of the process, part of the healing process. And so instead of treating the symptoms, you encourage it to finish the cycle. That makes so much more sense to me, as far as bodily rhythms and being in harmony.
Yeah, I don't know heaps about homeopathy, but I remember like when I started learning about it, reading like the characteristic of different remedies and being like, oh, like I've got that. Again, being like, I've got that, and being like, oh, I thought that was my personality, but that's just like I'm just, yeah, doing this and I take this remedy and it's like that's not me anymore. Um I think another one with like Yeah, I used to be really into astrology. I still like love astrology and human design and stuff, but I know that I have put in the wrong date sometimes accidentally, and then I'm like, oh yeah, that's me, and then I'm like, oh no, that's wrong. Like, so yeah, I guess we're all a bit of everything. Um, um, sorry, I keep going blank. It's my
It's
leaving pattern.
okay. It is. It is. And I'm like, yeah, cool. There you go. I always wait for you to come back. So there you go. Cool.
So I've also no, totally gone blank. Yeah, that's sorry, I don't usually go this blank on podcasts. I feel a little bit
Feel it. Feel it all. Like this is perfect. This is almost like a session. Like I love
yeah,
this.
I feel like this has turned into a session.
I love
Uh,
this. So this would be with this, Mila. Like know that you can be loved through this. Like this is part of how you've survived. There's no need to make this wrong. There's no need for you to try and force an answer because the forcing the answer is going to push you more into leaving. Like
mm,
you're allowed to be this. Like the reason you're talking to me right here, right now, you're sharing your vitality with me, your life force with me, is because of this survival pattern. So you're allowed to be this, and I'll be here with you in that. It's perfectly okay.
yeah, it's really interesting how I've noticed that podcast interviews that I do with people who are therapists or something that yeah, that it's quite funny that it turns into like a session and that yeah, stuff comes up. Do you find that in your life when you speak to people that you just like, do you feel like it's difficult to, or is it a thing where it's like that you become people's therapist accidentally?
Um, I think the yes and no. So I think previously there was a lot of identity wrapped up in me saving people. Now it's just who I am. It's like I know this is eventually, I know this could happen, and I know when to step in. Like I know when to be me. Like I have been given gifts through that mentorship. I have my own, excuse me, innate gifts that allow people just to be themselves around me. So if I can detach this image of now I'm now I'm the therapist or now I'm the practitioner or now I'm this, if I can just be John everywhere, then people are just going to naturally want to open up and talk to me. It's like when I'm walking to the shops, like people just want to say something to me. I have no idea who they are. Go anywhere. But for me, it's like, cool, I need to go now. Because, for example, there's a survival pattern that, like, for merging in particular, when it's a full blown merging person, they can feel how loving my energy is and they don't want to leave the conversation. So they'll be in it. We could be talking about something for a long time, but I can hear in their voice they don't actually want to tell me what they want to tell me. They just enjoy the interaction of someone listening to them deeply,
Mm.
like listening to a baby's cry. It's a baby's cry, not being listened to as a baby. I'm listening to them so deep because I want to know, like, how are you feeling? Like, what's really going on for you? What's there? But there'll come a point in the conversation where I can hear it's looping. It's like, okay, now it's time for me to go. Thank you. I got to go. Oh, there's one more thing. I got to go. I'll see you later. So it's knowing what I know about people. People just will naturally want to open up to me, and it doesn't become so much a session. It just becomes part of life, where that interaction has impacted them in a way, and they won't be the same again. And that's just that's just how I roll. That's how my life is now.
Mm. And how does your work, well, I guess it's a big question, but how does your work affect your fathering? Like, how do you parent in a way that's totally different than you were parented, I imagine? And
Yeah, so for me, I'm aware of who I am in my parenting, which means I don't try and pretend to be a good parent. I don't try and pretend to be a good father. I don't try and put on a performance of what a good husband's supposed to be. I be myself. In that, I have a baseline of, well, this is who I am, and I just iterate that if I want to. I don't have to. So with my son Luca, he's going through he's 2.5 now, and because the new ones come along, I can see he can feel a little bit displaced. It's like, cool, I'm no longer getting 100% attention from mum and dad. I'm getting a percentage now. And because he's going through that willpower exertion stage, so because I know the stages of development, I know that, oh, this is the age range he's going to be wanting to do this. Cool. How would I like to approach this? And it's always presence because every single moment's different. For example, he might want to go and throw his toys. It's like, great, mate, what's going on for you? I can just see that he wants to go to the toilet. So I'll go and put him on the toilet. Right? He doesn't know, he needs to be shown the outlet of what his body is expressing as tension. So the tension, he relieves his tension by getting aggressive or violent or getting in our newborn's face. So what do you really want? So how I parent differently from my father is I don't make him wrong. And it's like, yeah, I don't need to. Luca is who he is. I don't need to try and make him become something else than what he isn't, which is the where the self abandonment starts. So I just let him. If he wants to go and break something, go and break it. And depending on what it is, I have a my office is my sacred zone. Don't go trashing my laptop. But there's areas where I'm like, yeah, cool, just go and play with that thing. Like I'll have him at the stove with me cooking. Like he'll touch. Like yesterday, he was flipping sausages with a hot pan with tongs. Like I'll let him run to the go and get check the mail at the letterbox at the end of the driveway. Like there's an element of allowing him to be himself and protecting him from danger is my goal, but by not overprotecting him. So how I parent is I listen to my body. It's like, cool, there's a moment I need to let him go. He's walking on that railing. He could slip and hurt himself. I just need to let him slip and hurt himself. Like I'm not going to be guilty over that. I just know I needed to do that. I chose for him to do that. And whatever the repair is or the triage that's required, I'm also committing to that too. So how that's different from how I was parented, like for me, so my survival patterns that mostly poke out are rigid in the day to day and aggressive. So the rigid is all about rules. So I was raised in quite a rigid household, a little bit of religion, a little bit of rigid parents, mostly a rigid father, but he would also rule with aggression and anger. So there wasn't a real space for me to feel or go into feelings or even know how to express feelings as a man. And he was also a rescuer. So he rescued my mum and continued to rescue my mum throughout their entire relationship. So in that cycle, my model of what it meant to be a father and a parent was to rescue. So in spending the hundreds of thousands of dollars and the tens of thousands of hours doing the inner work that I've done, I've got enough presence around that pattern to know, oh, that was my dad. That's what was modeled for me. Well, if I'm not modeling my dad anymore, who's John? Who's John in all this? Who's John as a parent? Who's John as a husband? Who's John as John? So in that, I'm very forgiving to myself in how I parent because I'm learning how to do it. But as long as I am present with myself and empathetic with my sons, we'll be fine as far as fine goes. I'm also not going to try and predict the future and say he's going to be a perfect son. He's not going to turn out to be a psychopath. He's not going to turn out to be a rapist or a murderer. I don't know that, okay? But what I can do is do my best as myself to see he gets the nurturing and loving to bring out who his most truest self is, if that makes sense.
Your examples made me think of me with my son and feel kind of guilty that there are often situations where I think he's going to be fine, but it's like I can't stand the sensation. Like he's on the edge of a cliff, and I just feel like I should let him play there, but I can't. And then I'll get angry and like be aggressive to make him come back. And like we go to the beach every day, and every day is like a struggle of him wanting to swim further out. And I've got a 3-year old and I'm pregnant, and I'm like, I can't get to you. You have to be with me. And then feeling like I'm like he's not kind of, I don't know, be able to test his own limits as much as he needs to.
Yeah, Marley, it's challenging for a mum, like
Mm.
because you have a connection that the father wouldn't understand. So we can push that edge a little bit more because we haven't got that motherly tie back. Because Cassie's the same. Like if Cassie saw some of the stuff that I put Luca through, she'd be like, "What are you doing? You allowed him to do that?" It's like, "Yeah, I did." So for
And
her,
I worry
you go.
And I worry that my son doesn't get that from my husband either. Like my husband's from Pakistan, and I imagine that when I think about his childhood, I imagine that there was a lot of real danger around and that his parents were very conscious of that. And so, yeah, sometimes I feel like he's getting fear from both of us, which, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And I guess the coaching that I'd give you around that would be you just got to do your best.
Mm,
Like, and then allow their journey to be their own journey to discover who they are, with even if they were raised in a household of fear or increased anxiety or whatever it was. Like, cool, all right, well, that's how you were raised, and they might need to be raised for that for a particular reason. We don't know. So the disadvantage in all of what we know about trauma and raising children is that we can try and fit our parenting style into these boxes to try and avoid creating what we experienced as children. But we still don't know. Like, I think there's an element of control that we want to have to try and make sure our kids have the best upbringing, that they're free of trauma. But life in itself will give them those lessons. So to try and avoid the reality, just not. It's just I think it can parents can really beat themselves up over trying to be perfect parents.
mm,
When if they just be themselves, it all it the natural course of events executes. It happens outside of our control.
mm. Yeah, no, that's great advice. I feel like I'm getting that from all round, and same with again, when I found German new medicine and understood sort of constellations, then I started to think like, oh, we're all constellated. I'm making him constellated, and then also thinking like, oh, like if these are my children and I love them exactly who as they are, then it's like I love them with all the trauma and with all the things that have happened and with everything else. And like, how do I accept all of us for who we are rather than yeah, a different sort of form of wanting to control everything and make it perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And I think once you reach that point and can really be with that, your whole relationship and parenting journey shifts too, because there's a peace and calm and grace that flows over all of your actions where you don't need to perform anymore. It's like, oh, I'm present. And kids really just want presence. Mom, listen to me. Dad, listen to me. What's there? What's going on for me? And then also knowing when to distance yourself. So, oh no, now I need to prioritize myself. You need to go over there and do your own thing. But I don't wanna. Cool. Cry it out. Has a few tantrums. Great, cool. Completely forgets about it the next few minutes and goes and does their own thing. Like
Mm,
like Luca will do that. Like I don't need to entertain him all the time. It's actually important that I get away from him so he can go and find his own things to do. So like for me, if I'm in the kitchen, Dad, I want to be in the kitchen with you. So mate, I don't want you in the kitchen right now. Go and play with your toys, go read a book, go do something else. But I don't wanna. Throws a tantrum. Eventually the tantrum subsides. I might give him a hug. Dad, give me a hug. I'll give you a hug. Cool. Off you go, play with your toys. Goes and plays with his toys for like 30, 40 minutes. Dad, I'm hungry. Great. So as long as the parents can have a self reference of what they need and what they need to do, the child models that too. It's like, oh, mum and dad need their own space. Oh, that's how you ask for space. You can say, get away. Like right now,
mm,
he's learning how to use the potty. He jumps on the potty. I need some privacy. It's like, right, mate, cool. I'll let you be. I turn my back. I'll do whatever. But you
mm,
just the modeling is the most important bit. I think parents can forget the model. It's the model. You don't need to be running him through a school of how you need to live your life. It's
mm.
modeling. Modeling wins every time.
Yeah, more great advice. Yeah, I definitely, when my son was a baby, I feel like I really exhausted myself trying to stop him crying because it was like I didn't like it. So it was like, yeah, just so exhausting to like constantly breastfeed and rock and walk and sing and like do all of this stuff because I thought, again in that thing of like, oh, I'll do the opposite. Like if I was alone to cry, then I'll never leave him alone to cry. And then I have noticed that with my daughter that she is more comfortable being alone and doing her own thing, because by the time she was born, I was more comfortable with that. And yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
perfect. And I think it sounds like you're very present and you give yourself permission to self-reflect. So in that you just learn, yeah, cool. That child had ended up with that kind of behavior pattern, possibly because of what I did. On the next one, I'll do it a little bit differently. So like with our number two, Tommy, like we had a home birth, so straight away, it's like a completely different foundation for his psychology, his psyche. But being relaxed about the whole thing and not feeling or beating ourselves up over the guilt is
Mm,
what keeps the body and the vitality flowing. Just knowing that great, if Luke has incurred an injury from having the hospital birth, which I know he has, then it's just part of the process. It's part of his life process of just, well, he's got slightly more leaving than Tommy will,
mm,
purely because that's how he was. That was his welcoming onto Earth was through that entire process. And there's gifts that come with the leaving pattern. Like they're highly intuitive. They can see behind the veil very easily. They can talk to spirits. They're
mm.
great at attuning and being hyper vigilant to what's going on. So there's gifts that come with it all. And when you know that those are part of it too, it's not that it's not like a smear or a stain against either your parenting and or their personality.
Yeah, yeah. Another great reminder. I feel like, again, this has come up on a few episodes, but this idea that it's like, I don't know, I feel like in our own lives, we can appreciate the richness of our difficult situations. And then sometimes when I'm with my children, it's like, no, I don't want them to have any difficulty, please. Like, just all nice. Like, yeah. But, yeah. Well, yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for coming on. Is there anything else that you would like to add to what was said?
Yeah, I don't know who your the typical people that listen to your podcast, but if they're a little bit like you, um, what I'd say is give yourself space to grieve the seriousness of how you've grown up. So if life has become very serious for you based on your past or your circumstance, then making sure that you create space in your life or permission for yourselves to always have fun. Like life really is a gift, and our children are a gift. And learning how to have fun with ourselves, not just with the kids, creates a flavor of life which invites in more abundance. It invites in the natural state of miracles, which is what I believe that miracles are the natural state. And if you're not receiving miracles, there's probably something that's off in your life. So if you can be grateful for life and the gift of life and what it is, then you'll have a very, very fulfilling life, filled with memories and interactions that are more rewarding than some of your closest relationships.
Thank you. I know that will resonate with people. It made me think that a lot of the people that I speak to are mothers, and we are all on this sort of forever self-improvement, how do we be better mothers journey, and that we often joke like, this is a bit boring. Like, can we go back to like drinking and or something? Like, did we have fun? But now that those things we don't do that anymore, how do you bring fun in a different way with this new life? So, yeah.
And that's a journey for women in particular, especially if your husband is away from working and you're at home alone with the kids. Like I work from home right now, so like I'll jump out after this call, grab Tommy. Casey might go for a walk or go sit outside for a bit. So I because of what I know and what's important for people, making sure that she is still connecting to herself. Because when you become a mother, the child and you become inseparable. You become enmeshed. So, and that's a biological thing, and you can't just magically tease it away or snap it away. So, the child's needs become your needs. So, learning that your child is safe while you take your own time to do your own thing is some of the best gifts that a mother can have. So we've got Cassie's grandparents who take our kids away, except for Tommy right now. But I make sure that Cassie, as a mum, has time to do her own thing, because I know when she's fully resourced, the entire family is fully resourced. Um, so, and that's a game changer in our relationship, making sure, because she's leaving pattern as well. She's leaving more leaving and rigid. Merging can show up with the kids, but the leaving pattern really does need its own space. Like, it really
Mm,
does need to just get away and reconnect and discover their own body and their own sense of self again. And sometimes they don't know how to ask for that. So sometimes, like in the beginning of our relationship, she would create drama to try and create the space. But then once
mm-hmm,
I caught on to it, I'm like, you just need some time alone. Like, just go to your parents' house. Like, I'm good. Like, just go and enjoy yourself. And when she felt that permission piece, like, she grieved because she didn't understand what was going on for her. But that's the advantage in the 5 personality patterns, is that you can predict the behavior, and you can also put the words in your partner's mouth that they might not have a vocabulary for, which just creates a stability in the relationship that so it lasts as long as it needs to last for.
mm. Again, I know that's like a joke in a Telegram group I'm in, that you like throw a tantrum so that you can have a shower alone. And it's pretty sad and like a like not a great way of asking for what you need, but it's like you ask and it doesn't seem to land, and then you get really grumpy and suddenly the kids are out of the house and then you're like, oh, like this
Yeah,
is yeah.
and it works, right? It works. And what can show up in that is the underlying resentment that ends up showing up, because it's like, oh, she can't ask. But
Mm,
then in that, there can also be a backlog of, you don't listen to me, right? Because usually the partner's not present. So if because they're in their own survival patterns, they're in their provider mode or whatever it is.
mm,
So the aggression brings to the surface, this is my reality. Listen to it right now. I need space. I need a shower. I need to rejuvenate. I need this. I need that. So, okay. But because it comes from that fear place and that severance place, um, everybody's not really enjoying it. Like, there's more of
mm,
an obligation. Oh, I have to do this because mummy's angry at me. It's like, well,
mm.
why don't you do it because you love her and she's actually brought your children into the world? Like, she's actually, it's a gift that she can do what she's done, and it's a gift that she devotes herself to the kids. Like, actually invest back into her by giving her the space that she needs. Game changer in a relationship. Absolute game changer.
Sorry, I hope I'm not doing the thing where I'm just holding on to you for your
Oh, it doesn't.
attention.
It doesn't feel like that. No.
Okay, okay, good. I was gonna say my husband is around a lot, but I feel like we both, again, 6 years into parenting, I'm starting to realize that it's like we both don't feel super confident with the children alone. So it's like we've both missed out on so much rather than both having separate lives. It's like we both are at home being frustrated that that we don't have separate lives, but not quite, like if I think this starting this podcast has been huge to like do something each week that's my own thing, sort of thing. And that, like he loves playing cricket, but I struggle with when he's away for the weekend or something. But yeah, and and we're about to have a third baby, so it'd be interesting to, I don't know, see how we do it again, but to have more awareness of that we both actually do need to have time away rather. And I think another huge thing was like, oh, we'll just give everything to the children and that'll work. And then realizing, oh, that doesn't work. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I love that. Uh, uh, because for me, like, me doing this, like, this is, I love this. Like, my work is my recharge.
Mm,
Like, I love it. So if a partner doesn't really like their work, then they need to escape both things. So I need to
mm,
escape the feeling of my work and my family. But because my work is, I love it so much. It's like, no, it's two in one for me. Like, after this call, I'll go out. I'll be full of energy to go chat with Cassie and hang out with Tommy. Like, I'm fully recharged. But if when I was running my corporate job, I would have been exhausted. Like, 'cause in my corporate job, I needed to do something else to escape the tension in my body from living a life that wasn't really mine.
mm. Yeah. Yes.
And Millie, you don't have to fix it all.
Mm. Oh, sorry, I've got a bit of a cough as well. All right, well, I keep going blank. Sorry.
That's okay. We can wrap it up here. If anybody wants to reach out and find me, just find me on the socials. Like I've got lots of podcasts and long form content. I talk about the 5 personality patterns and all that kind of stuff. Like just reach out. Like you don't have to work with me. You don't have to do all these other things. But sometimes having a conversation with me, I can point you in the direction of other resources as well. If you listeners are interested in that. Otherwise, that's what I got.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was really lovely to meet you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you for the invitation. I loved it, and I love that this is your thing. When you start, congratulations on starting it because doing a podcast takes guts. It's nice. I love it.
Yeah, it's been lots of fun. I think I talked about it for years, and yeah, and finally did it. And it's really fun because I get to talk to people that I've like looked at on Instagram for years and thought like, oh, they'd be so cool to talk to, and then I get to invite them on and share their work. So I feel like I'm doing something good. So it's the gift that keeps on giving. I keep telling everyone, if you've ever wanted to start a podcast, start a podcast. But yeah,
Great.
thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Thanks for listening to Here on Earth. I hope today's conversation gave you something to think about. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend and leave a review. You can find me on Instagram at hereonearth_podcast. Until next week, I hope you enjoy your time here on Earth.